Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, and welcome to our witnesses. I appreciate your being here with us. Living in the digital age in America means that much of our connection with other people takes place over the internet. We message with friends and family and coworkers over our cell phone apps. We store documents in the cloud, and we share materials over email. End-to-end encrypted services promise that no one, not Apple, not Google, not the government, federal, state, or local, can access the messages that we send. And these platforms are increasingly counted upon by users wishing for the privacy of a protected face-to-face conversation in the new era of technology that we inhabit. Imagine pulling out your phone, opening up an app you've been told is secure, and sending a message to a friend. Now imagine learning that the app is not end-to-end encrypted as promised. Instead, the government has ordered the service provider to make its security weaker so the government can demand access to your message. Imagine the government told the platform that they couldn't tell a soul about this arrangement. Well, that's exactly what the United Kingdom secretly ordered Apple to do recently, and that's the reason that we're here today. Requiring Apple to secretly build a so-called backdoor into its advanced data protection service would make users' end-to-end encrypted documents no longer secure as expected. Law enforcement officers, not just in the UK, but also in the US, could demand Apple produce users' content and metadata from the cloud, and cyber criminals would be able to exploit this system weakness introduced by the backdoor to target Americans for espionage, consumer fraud, and ransomware. Backdoors to encrypted technology are not capable, as the chairman said, only of letting good guys in while keeping the bad guys out. Backdoors are intentional, designed weaknesses in an encrypted technology's mathematical formula. These design weaknesses can be exploited by foreign governments seeking to compromise our national security, steal our intellectual property, and monitor us in our daily lives and workplaces. Congress passed the Cloud Act in 2018 to allow for data sharing agreements between the U.S. and countries that meet required standards. Through its negotiated agreement with the U.S., UK law enforcement can access non-encrypted data transmitted by U.S. providers that is relevant to their law enforcement recommendations, while secret orders like the technical capability notice the Home Office placed on Apple have nothing to do with the data sharing agreement or the Cloud Act. They are only worthwhile to the UK because of the data that is made available through the agreement. I, for one, believe that the Cloud Act and the US-UK data sharing agreement thus far have been beneficial, both to US companies and to our country. But I also believe that forcing companies to circumvent their own encrypted services in the name of security is the beginning of a dangerous, slippery slope. And I look forward to hearing from the witnesses as to what, if anything, we need to do to change to prevent future similar orders against other companies. Some argue that privacy is passé, yesterday's news. Cookies monitor which websites we click on. Our devices already track every step we take, and data brokers take anonymized data and re-identify it in portfolios available to the highest bidder. But I disagree with the idea that privacy is no longer valuable or meaningful to the American citizenry. In a country where visa holders are being detained simply for opinions they've expressed or an op-ed they wrote, where criticism of the administration can result in a visit from the Secret Service, and where the staff of members of Congress can be arrested and handcuffed just for doing their jobs. American security from government intrusion has never been more urgent or important. The deluge of ways new technology enables the government to spy on their citizens makes it even more important that Americans stand up to increases in state surveillance. Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1788 that the natural progress of things is for liberty to yield and for government to gain ground. Well, we have to resist that natural tendency. A week ago, the Trump administration announced it would hire Palantir to consolidate Americans' data into dossiers on all U.S. citizens. The plan to use Palantir's Foundry project to organize and analyze data across agencies into one big, beautiful dossier is chilling. It's the beginning of an effort to create a national citizen database, which would be vulnerable to manipulation, not just by outside actors, but by inside political actors. From bank account numbers and student debt totals to medical claims and disability status, The administration today is taking information that was previously siloed into different categories as required under the law and using it to create one big, beautiful surveillance apparatus that can be used to crush resistance, to profile Americans, and to silence dissent. We're here today to discuss the Cloud Act. I recognize this, but we should also recognize none of these issues exist in a vacuum. All government surveillance curtails all citizens' liberties. It is not always immediate. Often it's a slow decay and erosion, but every chip in our civil liberties foundation brings us that much closer to a government that no longer has its foundational and necessary ideological checks against total control of the citizenry. Surveillance databases like the one contemplated by the Trump administration should remain the stuff of science fiction and authoritarian governments, not a reality for a country founded on the principles of democratic self-government and freedoms and rights for the people. In the case of the UK order, we can start with an easy first step. We don't need legislation to pass in the divided House or frozen Senate. The Trump DOJ can just do its job. The U.S. should not sit idly by and watch the Home Office issue perhaps more secret orders against U.S. companies. But thus far, that's exactly what the DOJ has done. I sincerely hope that we move quickly to change that. I thank Chairman Biggs and Chairman Jordan for holding a second bipartisan surveillance hearing, and I look forward to working across the aisle with my friends as we prepare for the expiration of FISA Section 702 next year. And I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.